Hello and welcome to the Dr. Jakenstein WTF Hour, where I talk about the analysis of the important yet ridiculously stupid events happening around the world. Now, I understand the show has a time frame of 1 hour in its name, but that just isn't so. I put it there because it sounds cool. These episodes are to inform you without taking up too much of our precious time. Today I will be showing everyone how ridiculously stupid religious arguments are. I will be explaining this using the 4 largest religions of the world and their prophets. Just an FYI, this is in PowerPoint form because the content is far more important than the person saying it. And I will be keeping this as short and sweet as possible. Let's begin by understanding the 2 different types of religious beliefs, polytheism and monotheism. Polytheism is the belief in multiple gods, and monotheism is the belief in a single god. About 5500 BCE, or before Common Era, Aryans from Eastern Europe and Central Asia brought monotheism to India. In 1500 BCE, India gained an evolved understanding of monotheism, giving birth to Hinduism. At the same time, Aryans were also bringing monotheism to the Middle East, like Iraq, Iran, and Saudi Arabia, where their understanding of one God became known as Yahweh, the God of the desert. There was a man in the Middle East who was the leader of his tribe, as well as having the most enlightened view of Yahweh in the area. This man was Abraham, great-great-grandfather of Moses. Moses was born in 1393 BCE, but was abandoned due to the king in the area killing all of the firstborn Hebrew males. For the first 40 years of his life, Moses gained enlightenment from the polytheistic gods of Egypt. After his first 40 years of life, Moses leaves Egypt to live a life in the desert. Moses met a tribe of Abraham who taught him the ways of Yahweh, or monotheism. He then spent the next 40 years of his life learning about the life of Yahweh. During this time, monotheism was enslaved physically by polytheism in Egypt. While living in the desert, Moses gained further enlightenment via the beliefs of Yahweh, and after a revelation in the desert, Moses returned to Egypt, freed the enslaved people of Yahweh, and walked the Hebrews to Israel over the last 40 years of his life. In 1312 BCE, Moses became enlightened once again with the laws of God, or Torah, more commonly known as the 10 Commandments. After years of contemplation and understanding, Moses spreads his understanding of the Torah to the believers of Yahweh, and in 1250 BCE, the Torah was combined with the beliefs of Yahweh to give birth to Judaism, more commonly known as the Jewish faith. So at the moment, the Aryan monotheistic beliefs in Yahweh and Hinduism are evolving in their independent understanding of God throughout the European, Asian, and Middle Eastern continents. There is little written about the European and Asian monotheistic prophets, but one is known as Siddhartha Gautama, or the Great Buddha. He was born around 600 BCE in what is now known as Nepal. During his life, he reached true enlightenment while using the religious teachings from the religions in the surrounding areas along with Hinduism. After reaching enlightenment through revelations during his meditations, his teachings would give birth to Buddhism. So from Aryan monotheism to Hinduism to Buddhism in the Indian provinces, and from Aryan monotheism to Yahweh to Judaism in the Middle Eastern provinces. Around 100 BCE, the Roman Empire took over the entire Middle East lands. They allowed for free religious beliefs, but all people, businesses, and religions had to pay taxes to the Roman Empire. This fusion of economic life and religious life caused the Jewish faith to become corrupted by the monetary value system. Between 4 and 2 BCE, a boy was born by the name of Yeshua in a small town called Bethlehem. This boy is also known as Jesus of Nazareth. Over the next 30 years, Jesus learned about Judaism, and on pilgrimage most likely about Yahweh and Hinduism as well. With this well-rounded knowledge base of monotheistic faith, Jesus returned to Nazareth and spread the newly enlightened monotheistic teachings to the Israelites. In 325 AD, Anno Domini, the Roman Emperor Constantine gathered many knowledgeable religious leaders from all of the faiths in the Roman Empire. He did this so that the Roman Empire could share their faiths as one faith. These religious leaders spent weeks talking over the prophets of God and the many different teachings of each of the religions. In the end, they agreed on each word in this almanac of religious nature. An important thing to remember is that Yahweh, Hindu, and Jewish leaders all agreed that the Holy Bible, Old Testament, would represent the newly evolved understanding and teachings of God through the teachings of those who have come to understand the ways and laws of God in the most complete forms. It was also done for the divinely specific purpose of relaying this evolved understanding to the masses, giving birth to Christianity. A few hundred years later, in 570 AD, a boy named Muhammad was born in the city of Mecca, Saudi Arabia. In his youth, Muhammad was taught Christianity and learned Yahweh along with Hinduism while traveling with tradesmen through Syria, across the Indian Ocean, and all over the Mediterranean. The most influential faith to Muhammad was Christianity. When Muhammad was 25 years old, he married a 40-year-old Christian woman. When he needed consoling, it is known that he would turn to his Christian wife and Christian cousin. Around 610 AD, Muhammad received his first revelation, marking the birth of Islam, the further enlightened version of Christianity. Not better, just another addition to the universal monotheistic understanding of God. Since Islam was not born until after the time of the Roman Emperor Constantine, Muhammad and Islam are not in the Old Testament Holy Bible. To sum it all up, the monotheistic beliefs in God that the majority of the world believe in all stem from the same understanding of God. What this means is that we all are correct in our different points of view of God. Each type of individual religious point of view came to mankind in specific places and times in which specific types of enlightenment were needed. So arguing religions are truly stupid because by definition, stupid is doing the wrong thing, knowing it is wrong, while assuming it is right. Each of the religions that I have mentioned believe in peace, love, prosperity, and understanding over any of the other rules that have been implemented in them. So if all of the understandings of God are from the same beginning, WTF are you ridiculously stupid religious people fighting about? All of the prophets I mentioned would sit at the same table together and be saddened at our ignorance increase over time. But they would also understand that enlightenment for the entire human race is reciprocal, and we will need to be reminded of the truth of God every few hundred years. As a final thought, I have come to understand two things after doing my research. One, if God is the absolute, then there would be nothing outside of God, making the life of God boring. So when humans get bored and have literally nothing to do and nowhere to go, we end up looking within ourselves for life, from memories all the way to gaining a hallucinating imagination. With this thought, I have come to realize that the reason any and all religions exist, monotheistic or polytheistic, is so that God itself can get different points of view of itself, and the only reason for this would be for a better self-understanding for God. Number two, I have come to realize that God could be looked at as an infinitely large puzzle with an infinite amount of puzzle pieces within it. There are many religions with many followers. Each religion believes in a different point of view of God than the others. Each follower sees the religion they follow differently than all of the others in the congregation. The one thing all religions have in common is God. Even with polytheism, there was always one God that ruled over the rest of the gods. So polytheism itself began the monotheism movement. Each one of us is a puzzle piece with the perfect placement in God's universe. So I say again, WTF are you ridiculously stupid people fighting about? Really? Religions can't fight, but people can and will because people are ridiculously stupid, not the religions. So please, extremists of all kinds, stop being ridiculously stupid and follow your faith without ignorance or hearsay. Understand your faith before you kill people in its name, even though religious names mean nothing, but what those names represent means everything. This is Dr. Jakenstein, and thank you for watching the Dr. Jakenstein WTF Hour. God bless and Godspeed to you all, and for those of you who love to tweet, religious arguments are hashtag ridiculously stupid.